Thank you, President Jamal. I'm going to make this quick because I don't want to take time away from our speaker. Our speaker today is Judge Mike Heavey. The title of Judge Heavey's talk today is Rectifying Wrongful Convictions. Judge is the CEO of Judges for Justice, having co-founded that organization in 2013. The organization's goal is to uncover unethical conduct in the justice process which may have led to wrongful convictions. Judge Heavey, you may remember him, spoke to our club around the year 2010. The purpose of his talk at that time was about Amanda Knox's plight. Having been wrongfully convicted of murder, and at that time, she was still serving a prison sentence in Italy. Judge Heavey was instrumental in Amanda Knox's overturned sentence and subsequent release. Mike also has a decorated career as not only a judge, a Washington state legislator, and also a veteran of the U.S. Army. Please welcome Judge Heavey.
Thank you, Alan, for the very kind introduction. And it's so good to see so many old friends. I knew Ross Jacobson in the early 70s at the University of Washington, over 50 years ago. And I served with Senator Dan McDonald in the 90s in the state legislature. But most of all, I want to say thank you, Rotarians. Thank you for all the service and good works you do in our community and around the world. I love the Rotary four-way test. That's what Judges for Justice is all about. We tell the truth with a capital T, and then we do it with goodwill and try to benefit all. Groucho Marx once said, "I was married by a judge, but I should have had a jury." And so for the next 15 minutes, I'll be the judge, and you folks can be the jury. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Judges for Justice, some of our successes, and a little bit about how we go about doing that. Judges for Justice has been successful in helping getting out of prison 4 innocent men in 3 states, Idaho, Hawaii, and Ohio. A couple of weeks ago, I was being a little smug, and I said to my wife, "In your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine me helping get innocent people out of prison?" And she did kind of a Clark Gable, Rhett Butler. "Frankly, my dear, in my wildest dreams, you do not make an appearance." Well, the truth is, no one person is ever responsible, or organization is ever responsible for getting an innocent person out of prison. It takes a bucket brigade. And we've got some Judges for Justice bucket brigade members here. My brother, Tom, raise your hand. I know you already did it, but he's done a lot of notable things. But he served in Kuwait in about 2004 in the effort there, and he retired as a senior chief with the Coast Guard. That was a few years ago. Also, Bill Finkbeiner. Bill, raise your hand again. Bill is on our board of directors. And if you recognize his name, it's probably you recognize his name from politics. He's a former state senator, former, like Dan McDonald, former majority leader. Oh, you weren't majority leader, were you? Or were you? Okay, sorry. Like Dan McDonald, who was former majority leader. But Point of personal privilege. My best friend, business partner, and employer was his dad. And there's a Native American tribe that believes that a person dies twice. The first time is when the spirit leaves the body, and the second time when no one remembers or mentions your name. So I recognize his dad, who died 25 years ago, Bill Finkbeiner. Also with us is retired King County Superior Court Judge Carol Shapiro. Carol, raise your hand again. Thank you. I know she doesn't like this, but she went to Harvard Law School and somehow found her way out here to the West Coast. She's a great judge, and she's been a big-time supporter of Judges for Justice ever since we started in 2013. In 2016, she helped me write a post-conviction petition brief that was pivotal in our Idaho case. When Judges for Justice, I forgot to click that, I'm sorry. When Judges for Justice enters a community where there's been a wrongful conviction, the prevailing mindset in that community is the defendant is a cold-blooded killer. Lucky he didn't get the death penalty. Judges for Justice enters in a community as a neutral, no dog in the fight group. We get a little bit of credibility. We get a little bit of credibility because of our successes, our expertise in the law, and our expertise in wrongful convictions. We thoroughly investigate, and then when we conclude that the person is obviously innocent, we educate the community through our videos. We found early on, no one's going to read a 30-page expert report. But maybe we can make videos that people will watch. When we get an innocent person out, the public opinion has changed. It now is, oh my God, the defendant is an innocent man. He was wrongfully convicted. When that community public opinion mindset changes, you set in motion a powerful force for good. I think Victor Hugo best described it when he said, "No force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come." Great presentation, Ross, on Dr. Martin Luther King, whose birthday was yesterday. We've learned a lot from that person. One of the things he said in the letter from Birmingham jail is, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Judges for Justice roots can be traced back to an injustice in Perugia, Italy, far away from Seattle, yet it was close. This is the March 28, 2015 front page of the Seattle Times. The highest court in Italy had just declared Amanda Knox and her co-defendant, Raphael Sollecito, absolutely innocent. Notice the second headline I have in yellow highlighted. It says, Amanda Knox saga ends in exoneration. Now, Italy has 3 verdicts in criminal cases. Guilty and not guilty, like we do, but they have a third verdict that's rarely used, and that verdict is the defendant is innocent. They did not commit the crime. And that was the decision in late March of 2015, after basically an 8-year nightmare for 4 years in prison for Amanda Knox. Originally, Amanda had been arrested for the rape and murder of her roommate in 2007. In 2008, 4 of us, me, Tom Wright of Mercer Island, Jim Lovering of Waldron Island, and Seattle attorney Ann Brebner saw that it was an obvious wrongful conviction waiting to happen. What could we do about it? So we're over 5,000 miles away. We decided to set out to turn around the super tanker of misinformation and lies that were being told across the world about Amanda Knox. Our efforts included creating a website, obtaining expert witnesses, speaking out in public. And from 2010 to 2012, I spoke probably to 50 Rotaries, Canada, California, and of course, most of them were in Washington. Did our efforts help? Well, we like to think so. I know this, that when she was finally exonerated, most of the people in the world who paid attention thought, yeah, she was innocent. No doubt about it. This experience, changing the court of public opinion, was the genesis of Judges for Justice. This is, in 2013, retired Judge Peter Deegan of Michigan, that's him on the left, and myself co-founded Judges for Justice. We're now literally 11 years old. This is our birthday month. And we're an IRS 501c3 charitable foundation. This is a photo from August of 2019 where I was speaking at a Michigan Judges Association conference at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island in Michigan. My topic was about why wrongful convictions happen. This is March 22nd, 2017. This is a photo of myself, Chris Tapp, and one of our Judges for Justice videographers, Faraz Zargami. We're on the courthouse steps in Idaho Falls, the Bonneville County Courthouse. A judge had just released Chris Tapp from prison. Chris Tapp had been convicted of a rape and murder that he had nothing to do with. And it gets better. 2 years later, in 2019, through forensic genealogy, Angie Dodge's real killer is identified, arrested, and he gave a full confession that he committed the crime by himself. And it gets a little bit better after that. In 2021, the city of Idaho Falls agreed to pay Chris Tapp $11.7 million in damages. And the mayor of Idaho Falls issued a formal apology. This is about 10 months ago. It's March 28th, 2023. We're in the front of the Lucas County Jail in Toledo, Ohio. A judge had just ordered the release of two innocent men, Carl Willis and Wayne Brady Jr. They're both wearing hoodies with OIP on the front. That is Ohio Innocence Project. Carl and Wayne had spent over 23 years in prison for a crime, a murder they had nothing to do with. Pictured with Carl, Wayne, and me is retired King County Superior Court Judge Deborah Fleck. Judge Fleck's, one of Judge Fleck's sons is married to a cousin of Wayne Brady Jr., so that's how we found out about the case, and we kind of just tagged along on her efforts. She did a great job herself. This is about a year ago, January 24th, 2023. Ian Schweitzer was released in Hilo, Hawaii after spending over 22 years for a crime he had nothing to do with. On the left is Ian as he is about to hug his mother. So if you don't know Mike Flynn, you should. Mike, raise your hand. As Michael noted, Mike was the 24-year editor-publisher of the Puget Sound Business Journal, the highly acclaimed Puget Sound Business Journal. I shouldn't leave those adjectives off. He now writes an online column called Flynn's Harp. And there's a couple on the table of an article about us. Please feel free to take one. But the headline there says, in this January of 2023 says, Judges for Justice turned court of public opinion in favor of man imprisoned for murder, of Hawaii man imprisoned for murder. Mike was saying that our documentary about the case, the 14-episode Murder in Hawaii, was key to getting Ian Schweitzer out of prison. Mike Flynn's article was read by Kelly Stasko. Kelly is a longtime resident of the Big Island. She's a 31-year employee of the Hilo-based Hawaii Tribune Herald newspaper. Kelly sent us this unsolicited email. She had just read Mike Flynn's article, and this is what she said, quote, "It's true, exclamation point. Those telling videos produced by JFJ led the way, exclamation point. Without JFJ paving the way, doubting the conviction, Ian would still be serving time," end quote. I read Kelly's words because they confirm exactly what we set out to do. We wanted to tap into that powerful force that Victor Hugo identified. The email confirms and validates our work using goodwill, putting out the truth with a capital T, our knowledge of the case, and our expertise in wrongful convictions. We had changed the court of public opinion. Prosecutors can and do ignore Judges for Justice and our videos, but they ignore voters at their peril. They are elected officials. The good citizens of the Big Island had sent a powerful message to their elected officials. One, Ian Schweitzer is obviously innocent. Do the right thing. Let him go. Two, get going. Do your job. Find the real killer. So this is our new case, Eastern Pennsylvania, Allentown area, 60 miles north of Philadelphia. Patty Rohr, I can tell you, is innocent. She's been locked up for 27 years, doing life without the possibility of parole. This is our poster on our case to advertise our new documentary. This is a postcard. Last Friday, 56,000 of these were dropped in the mail and are going to frequent voter households in Lehigh County in eastern Pennsylvania. They're going to frequent voter households. These are the people, and it encourages them to go to our website, and I encourage all of you at judgesforjustice.org and watch. We've got the first 3 episodes of Is Patty Rohr Innocent now up online, and we're going to do 5 more as this goes along. And this is an extra special case to us because, one, we're going to do what we've done in other cases. We're going to get an innocent person out of prison. We're going to prove that she's innocent. But we're also, if you watch episode 2, we're going to identify the real killer by his name. I am 99% sure the person we identified is the real killer. Never investigated by the police. And we're also going to be able to prove that the police engaged in some horrific misconduct that led to the wrongful conviction of Patty Rohr. Take a look at this photo on the right half of the slide. It shows 5 people with signs. This is our Idaho case. It says, "Free Chris Tapp." The date, September 22nd, 2016. These 5 people and 5 others, citizens, had formed a grassroots movement, and they were marching around the courthouse before a key hearing. The key hearing was because of Judge Shapira and my petition that the judge was going to be considering at that hearing. And when the judge and prosecutor drove into the courthouse that morning, they saw these protesters marching around the courthouse. When the judge entered the courtroom, it was jam-packed. People had to be turned away. The national media was filming from the jury box. The grassroots support and all this attention was generated because of our Judges for Justice videos that the people of Idaho Falls were kind enough to watch. The grassroots support was proof that our mission to change the court of public opinion had changed. 3 months later, for the first time ever, the judge ruled in Chris Tapp's favor. 3 months after that, Chris Tapp was free. Henry David Thoreau said, "Justice is sweet and musical." I can tell you, getting an innocent person out of prison is definitely sweet, musical, and is quite a thrill. In the movie Philadelphia, actor Tom Hanks plays attorney Andrew Beckett. Andrew is dying of AIDS and is suing his old law firm for firing him because he's gay. His old law firm says, "Oh no, we fired him because of poor legal work." Denzel Washington plays Andrew's attorney.
All right. Now, you a good lawyer, Andrew.
I'm an excellent lawyer.
What makes you an excellent lawyer?
I love the law. I know the law. I excel at practicing.
What do you love about the law, Andrew?
Many things. What I love the most about the law
Yes.
is that every now and again, not often, but occasionally, you get to be a part of justice being done. It really is quite a thrill when that happens.
I can tell you that being a part of justice being done is quite a thrill when that happens. You, each of you, can be a part of justice being done. You can join our Judges for Justice Bucket Brigade. And the simplest way to do that is go to our website, www.judgesforjustice.org. We are a low-budget judges work pro bono organization, but we have the expenses like this postcard that we don't get a break on. We have to mail them. You can donate and you become a part of Judges for Justice. And you can do so on our website. On the back table, on the table up here are some of these postcards, a Mike Flynn article, and some of my business cards. It's got my phone number, it's got our website, it's got my email. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'm going to end with this. There's a beatitude. As you probably all know, the Sermon on the Mount begins with 8 beatitudes. One of them is, "Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." And I can tell you from personal experience, if you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you will be filled. That has been our experience. Thank you for the privilege of your time. Thank you.
TJ Woosley and Commercial Real Estate.
Hi, TJ.
Hi, thanks for coming again. Thanks for this presentation. It seems, I guess I had more confidence in the system that it worked better than this without the work that you guys have to do. So I guess, comments on that? And then, are there a bunch of people? How do you guys choose? And how do you know your position definitely if the regular system ended up with a different conclusion? Can you address that?
That's a big topic. Got another hour? So, yeah. I mean, there are since 1989, in the United States, there's been over 3,400 wrongful convictions for serious felonies. And there are probably a lot more for misdemeanors and low-level felonies. But they never come, they do their 5 years and they get out. And these cases are, in my opinion, thankfully fairly rare. And it all starts with fear in the community, a shocking crime. And then you get the white knight, the hero, the cop that's going to solve the case, and his attention lands on a suspect, and then he does everything he can to get a conviction. Even, it's called noble cause corruption, even cut a few corners. But that's a brief overview. Unfortunately, it happens. Thankfully, it's rare. If you ever see a shocking crime, a young woman is murdered and sexually assaulted as she lies dying, which when just talking about it, just, that's setting you up for a wrongful conviction. The more shocking the crime is, the more likely there's going to be a wrongful conviction.
John?
John Coelho, Financial, been here a couple years. I'm a former police officer as well, and so how do you find the cases? Everyone in prison's innocent, of course, but how do you find and narrow in on those people that you're going to help, like you have?
Thank you for your service. We get these cases from all over. The Idaho case I got from watching a Dateline show in 2012 called The Victim's Mother, and she brought me into the case. Ohio case was through Judge Fleck. We learned about Hawaii case. I spoke at the University of Hawaii Law School in 2013 about wrongful convictions, Amanda's case, and learned about that case there. The Pennsylvania case, our current one, I got a letter from an author who wrote a book about the case. And we do our next one after this, I'm 77, but I think I have a few years left, is going to be a case out of Sandy, Utah, Chris Wright case. So they come from all over, and you can, by the time I've been looking at this, I started looking at it, why they happen in Amanda's case. What caused this, what to go off the rails? And it always comes back to a police officer, male and female, who are so absolutely convinced that the suspect is the killer that they end up cutting quarters, is putting it nicely, but it's called noble cause corruption. They end up, so anyway, I hope that answered your question.
Great presentation. Thank you, Eric Postle, Corporate Real Estate. Yeah, I kind of like following up with TJ's. I mean, I feel a little naive because it would seem to me, you have a very credible team here, and that if you went to a judge or you went to a court and you said, look, we've reviewed this case, it's obviously flawed, that you wouldn't need to pressure them with public opinion, that they would look at it and say, okay, let's take a look at it. Gosh, you're right, and do something about it. Is there not such a mechanism?
We don't represent anybody. We're neutral. We consider an asset to the prosecution and the defense. But when you go in, and I've met with the prosecutor in Hawaii and a couple of them in Idaho, there are 3,143 prosecutors in the United States, counties, county equivalents. Each is an elected official. When they have the rarity of having a wrongful conviction, they're not interested in studying how to prevent them in the future, or in particularly rectifying it, because it usually might mean a lot of damages that their government is going to have to pay out. So they generally, they're cordial, but they generally fight it. They just don't roll over. But once you build that public pressure through the films, they become much more amenable to doing the right thing. But by themselves, they don't tend to do that. So I'm writing a letter to the Pennsylvania prosecutor. We'll see where that goes. I'm going to get that out tomorrow or the next day. But ask him for a meeting and to go over this stuff, and ask him to watch our first 3 episodes, which again is on our website. I think you'll find it interesting. It's rather amateurish, but think of yourself as a person in Lehigh County, and you're seeing these videos. Take a look at them and see what you think. And my card's up there, my email and phone number up there too. Any questions you have, be happy to answer them.
Question, how many innocent projects are there around the country like yours? Because I know you hear about ones from law schools and other places, so I imagine yours it's not the only one, but do you know how many there are around doing your kind of work?
I don't, we're not an Innocence Project, but in Idaho, Hawaii, and Ohio, we worked with the Innocence Project. That's usually out of a law school in a particular state, and they actually represent them in court. We try to come from a more neutral point of view. That way, I think theoretically we get more credibility in the community, both among the press and among the citizens, by staying neutral. Thank you, Jamal.
Judge Heavey, just 1 minute. As a gesture of appreciation for your presentation today, we have donated 1,500 pounds of fresh produce in your name to Harvest Against Hunger, another Rotarian-led nonprofit organization. Also, this is a mug from our signature project, the Inspiration Playground in downtown Bellevue here, so you can use it for your morning coffee. Thank you.